Welcome to Art Through My Eyes with Mumbi Kaigwa. I have over 40 years of experience in performing on stage, in film, and on television. And you've come to the right place if you're looking to find out about the performing arts in Kenya. I've performed in Europe, in East Africa, in America, and my plays have been performed all over the world. I've received a number of awards, including 3 Lifetime Achievement Awards from South Africa, Tunisia, and Egypt. If you're looking for a place where you can find out about the performing arts in Kenya, then you've come to the right place. Come with me. We had done an earlier pilot, and the messaging was actually very moralistic and very direct. We tried to be a little bit more subtle in this programming and not to lead our audience by the nose, as it were. So in the first programming, we had the AIDS story, for instance, very, very directly told. There's a nurse or a doctor who is sort of admonishing this older man who's had unprotected sex, and she's telling him off in a way that is not very realistic. But when we wrote now that same character in these 6 episodes, where we had a little bit more training in how to drop the hints of a story, we tended to be a little bit more subtle. We had the encounter between the character and a woman. We didn't see the act, but you kind of saw them sort of looking at each other. And, you know, I think it made it a little bit more exciting and a little bit more interesting to watch than the previous episode where we only had the interaction between the doctor and the patient. Whereas now you actually saw him developing a relationship with the woman who then gives him an STD. One of the things that we had been asked to do by the people who were funding Heart and Soul was to include messages from the UN. So we had 6 messages: education, AIDS, gender, environment, poverty reduction, and family conflict. And those 6 subjects sort of were interspersed within the 6 episodes. So we wrote our storyline so that each character, I've talked about Grace Melly before, she had an arc. And an arc in writing means that she has a journey that she's making throughout the 6 episodes. There's a beginning when she loses her husband. There's a middle when her son sends somebody to try and scare her to leave her house. And then there's her moving into her pet son Manu's house. So that arc is for her. There's also an arc, maybe I can mention another character like Titus. Titus has a secret. He has a younger brother who would have been 18 when the program starts, but died at 3 in a drowning. And Titus has been burdened by the fact that he feels he was responsible for his brother drowning. And that's another environmental story because it's a huge quarry that is filled with water, and this child died trying to swim in an unprotected sort of hole in the ground. So Titus has that arc throughout the 6 episodes, but he also has other things that are happening in his life. And he is like, there are supporting characters as well. And he has a best friend who's called Preacher, likes to make money doing like odd jobs. And he and Titus get on, but Titus really wishes he had the kind of money that Preacher has. And so he does some stuff in order to make money, which get him into trouble. So even though there are broad story arcs and broad story journeys for some of these characters, there's also like little other things that are happening to them, just the way in real life we have huge journeys that we're making in our spiritual life or in our emotional life, but there's also the day-to-day interactions that we have. And this is what I meant when I was saying that we're creating characters that feel real. We recognize them. And this is what the focus groups discussions helped us realize. They helped us see this person doesn't really seem like he comes from a particular strata in society. That helped us write better. The Heart and Soul broadcast in July 2002 and was shown, the 6 episodes of Heart and Soul pilot were shown over the next 4 weeks from July into August. And then they were repeated again in December of the same year, 2002. And we also played them on radio as Kiswahili episodes. And we broadcast them to 11 countries as well throughout Africa. The plan was, once we had established a footprint and we had got popularity, we would then do 26 more episodes. And following that, we would then do 52 episodes. So the first 26 would be shown every 2 weeks throughout a year. And in the third year, we would be showing 1 episode per day for 52 weeks, which is a year. So in the first episodes, the 6 episodes, were establishing love from the audience for the characters, so that then we're sort of like reeling people in and we're hooking them, so that then when we do the 26, we have a huge audience of people, and we start now to develop these behavior change messages around AIDS and poverty reduction and the environment and education, and the other subjects that I had mentioned were the foundation of Heart and Soul. Unfortunately, we were never able to make the 26 programs. There were many reasons for this, part of which I think was just the structure that we created didn't have, the UN, there's a lot of movement. And so we would go in for meetings, and we were independent of the UN, and we would have meetings with people, and then the next week that person didn't show up to a meeting or even had left that job and moved on. And so that we didn't have a structure where we had people who were within the UN specifically nominated to play the role of making the program work. And so there was a kind of a disconnect. So by the time we were now fundraising for the second season, which would have been the 26 episodes, we found that we just didn't get much back from the UN. Part of it was because the messages were coming only in 6 episodes, there were those UN officers who may have felt that we weren't really pushing their message, but it was all there in the 26 episodes. We just needed to have patience, and that unfortunately wasn't possible. But the 26 episodes still exist. And if there's somebody out there who wants to make them, they're here in my files. The 6 episodes are available, as well as promotional materials. Around that time, we were pushing the show. We were talking about what the budget was. We were talking about what we were trying to achieve. We have the earlier pilot episode. I'd love for those of you who were in the show to comment on your roles, comment on how you got into acting, talk about where you've been for the last 19 years, the things that you've done so far, how this program of making Kenyan soap opera affected your acting career or where you are now. I'd love to hear from you. So make sure you leave a comment below. Those of you who weren't in the show, make sure you let us know who was your favorite character? Who did you really not want to prosper? Who did you want to see do well? Finally, if you'd like to know more about Heart and Soul, or more about my work, or more about the work that I've done, then come to my website, www.mumbikaigwa.com. And remember to like and share this video and subscribe to my channel.